Thank you, friends. Greetings to you all. Shabbat Shalom. It's good to be back. No, it is great to be back. I'd like to offer my congratulations to all of you who told the story of freedom in new and different ways. I've heard from several of you, and some of you have sent me the Haggadot you created, and that is fantastic. That, my friends, is what this holy day was truly about. It's about telling the story. I hope you also took a moment to observe Yitzkor, the public memorial day to remember your loved ones in the eternity of their souls. And I know that Bruce, Harvey, Bonnie, Shelley, and others have a yahrzeit, the private observance, which means the time of the year, coming up in a few weeks for Murray, who's still on everyone's mind, in everyone's heart. It'll be the first anniversary of his passing, and my thoughts and prayers are with you all. Alav HaShalom. May he rest in peace. Many the time, many the place of all that we try to do, every thought and every embrace, the carbon footprint of you. And I hope you all lit a candle on either Wednesday night or on Thursday for Yom HaShoah, Holocaust Remembrance Day. We say never again. But every day there are men, women, children, and animals in almost every corner of this world fighting for survival. Let us light candles for all of them as we see increasing light in the sky during this time of the year. Let us bring light back into this world. And if you have not lit a candle, then light one now. And when you do, make a wish. Now, I had a fantastic question from my friend Larry, who leads a congregation in New Jersey, regarding the Talmud quote I gave last week. It had come up in their readings. How did the crafters of the Talmud decide when Moses was asking God, "If you are indeed pleased with me, allow me to know your ways"? That Moses wanted to understand the issue of reward and punishment in this world. Well, I thought about it. And of course, my first inclination was to say, I don't know. It is a bit of a stretch. I viewed it as a much larger question, to know all the ways of God. Now, how often do you get that chance? Think about it. If you're playing golf with Tiger Woods, talking physics with Albert Einstein, sitting around a piano with Beethoven, watching Michael Greenfield build a guitar, wouldn't you want to know about as much of what they knew as possible? The real answer is, we just came from an evening where all questions are invited and encouraged. And the Torah and the Talmud are built around asking questions. And that interpretation, my friends, is but one of a myriad of questions and interpretations stemming from Moses and treaty. So yes, he did want to know about reward and punishment. And he wanted to know about much, much more. So can you imagine the questions and interpretations from everything that you think, say, do? And friends, congratulations go to Bonnie, who celebrated her 50th anniversary. And to mark the occasion, she and her husband went to Las Vegas, where they decided to renew their vows and celebrate Passover at the same time. And a yarmulke wearing Elvis performed the nuptials. And it's great to see that they still have a burning love for each other after all this time. Lord Almighty, I feel my temperature rising higher and higher. It's burning through to my soul. Girl, 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 you gonna set me on fire. My brain is flaming. I don't know which way to go. What a great song, and it's one that Elvis did not really like to sing. And I remember seeing the King perform in Las Vegas in 1972 or 73. What a show that he put on. And speaking of love, my good friend Pal sent me an article which you should all go and look up, and which many of you may have seen over the last year or so. It's about three animals, a lion, a tiger, and a bear. Oh my! At the Noah's Ark Animal Sanctuary in Locust Grove, Georgia, where Raymond Jordan Jr. is doing an amazing job as the general manager. And these three animals were rescued as babies at a drug dealer's home 13 years ago in horrid, abusive conditions, starving, traumatized, and infected. But they bonded together and are inseparable, nuzzling together, loving each other, living together as if they were the same species. We can all learn so much from these three. We can teach babies to love, not to hate. Can you imagine what the world would be like? As I have said, my friends, love is the glue that holds the universe together, and the formula for Haroseth, eat not Passover, is not the mortar of the pyramids. It is the mortar of love. Now, I have been to animal rehabilitation facilities in different parts of the world. I've seen eagles and condors and lions and smaller domestic animals who have suffered, been abused. I've seen them healed, loved, returned to their natural environments, and I encourage all of you, when you can, go and support these facilities. Visit them. donate to them. Share your love. And any of you passing through Georgia, please go and visit Noah's Ark and say hello to Raymond. Now, friends, last time, and do not forget, in most years, it would be last week, we left Aaron and his sons sequestered in the tabernacle. They were told, and you shall sit at the entrance of the tent of meeting, day and night, 7 days, and you shall keep the Lord's charge, and you will not die, because that is what I was commanded. In a normal reading cycle, it was coming in the next week, building anticipation for the inauguration of the priesthood. And so we would emulate what is happening in the text. We wait for 7 days. And of course, to be sure that we get the connection, this parsha is called Shemini, 8th. And if we did pay proper attention, we come to the story of the inauguration with anticipation. And so we appreciate the story, and we appreciate the power of what goes wrong in the story, the catastrophe of Nadab and Abihu. We've now waited 7 days with Aaron and his sons. We are about to be inaugurated into the longest running, holiest order on earth, the Kohanim. Now, when discussing the contribution of the Kohanim to the Jewish people and the corresponding honor they receive, there are two things to look at: their current state and their future potential. Now, we may respect an individual Kohen for his scholarship, for his piety, but the true honor bestowed upon the Kohanim is in recognition of their holy influence over the entire nation. We honor them primarily for their future potential, for what a Kohen should and can be. As the book of Malachi, the last of the Nevi'im, the prophets, says, for he is an emissary of God of the hosts. Now, even if the Kohen is undeserving of such honor in his present state, Leviticus 21:8 tells us you must strive to keep him holy. He will be holy for you, since I am holy. His holiness is due to his potential benefit to the nation as a member of the sanctified family. And I am honored to be one of their company. Notice, friends, we are beginning to see there are two roles of the priesthood. The function of the Kohanim is not only to serve in the temple. The Kohanim are also expected to teach and to elevate the people. From the Kohen's lips, they will guard knowledge. They will seek Torah from his mouth. These two roles are interrelated, since the source for the spiritual influence on the people originates in the holiness of their service in the temple. This is a fascinating, simply fascinating parsha. The events of the 8th day after setting up the entire tabernacle, don't forget, we just set this thing up, combines a phenomenal worship service followed by a tragic incident. The reading concludes with the biblical dietary laws regarding animals fit for consumption and prohibitions regarding those that are unfit. And interestingly enough, I received a question about this concept of clean and unclean animals, an idea first mentioned in the Noah's Ark story, and most people think that reference was about the kashrut rules of clean and unclean food. But it was about energy and what was pleasing to God as a sacrifice. At the time of Noah, the kashrut rules did not exist, and it was pretty well open season on what man wanted to eat. And the parsha, my friends, opens with a sin offering, a burnt offering, a peace offering, a people's offering, an elevation offering, and a grain offering. And no, there will not be a test on these. Friends, you're watching the true transfer of authority take place. Moses will no longer conduct sacrifice. All spiritual, religious, and sacrosanctity has been transferred to the priesthood, and you are the witnesses, and for some, the recipients of this great honor. We are told, for today the Lord will appear before you. And what this statement does, my friends, it takes the revelation of God before all the people, and it renders the tabernacle the equivalent of Mount Sinai. And the tabernacle has been sacred to us ever since. God's glory appeared to all the people. God's glory, this mysterious entity. The glory will play a huge role in religion from this point onward. The cloud of the divine glory is luminescent, enveloping the fire into which it turns at night. Here, the emergence of the fire is a dramatic sign of God's self-revelation and of divine favor in accepting the sacrifice. And fire came out from in front of the Lord and consumed. The sacrifice that inaugurates Israel's priesthood is ignited by a miraculous fire that comes from God, not from humans. And you will read this exact same phrase very shortly under different conditions. Leviticus 10:1. And Aaron's sons, Nadab and Abihu, each took his fire holder and they put fire in them and set incense on it. And they brought forward unfitting fire, Ish Zarah, which he had not commanded them in front of the Lord. This is one of only 2 episodes of story in the entire book of Leviticus. And they both surround Aaron and his sons. And it's not clear just what Nadab and Abihu's offense is. Some have taken this to mean foreign fire, and you will often read the translation foreign fire, and therefore have related Nadab and Abihu's act to foreign worship, that is, to another god. But the term Zarah never has the meaning of foreign anywhere else in the Torah. Instead, it denotes a person or thing that is outside a particular group. And any context dealing with priests, that outside group would be a layperson. Now, Nadab and Abihu might be looked upon as having had positive intentions to bring an incense offering to God, but simply acted incorrectly. The text does not deal with their motives because that is not the issue. They have failed to observe a boundary, so their fate is settled. This is one of several biblical stories that indicate that on the highest levels of the ritual realm, intention does not matter. In the ethical realm, it does, and we will see that. And we have talked, and we will talk more about zones of holiness. This is just the beginning of that. This is a book of rules. It is like a basic computer program that says if, then. There's no artificial intelligence that could allow or examine possibility and evolution. And there must be something wrong if we're looking to artificial intelligence instead of our own real intelligence. And I bet there is an oxymoron in there somewhere. Remember, friends, you are coming from 2 books of stories, of metaphor, of interpretation, imagination, fascination, Genesis and Exodus, into a book of rules and laws. So motives do not matter. It is very Les Mis, Prisoner 24601 like, look down, you'll always be a slave. Look down, you're standing in your grave. And in Leviticus 10:2 where you're told, and fire came out from in front of the Lord and consumed. The exact same phrase as that used to describe the inaugurating sacrifice, but this time it is about the death of Aaron's sons. This is a continuous relay of information. The Torah divisions came centuries later. So as the entire nation watches the inauguration of its new priesthood, we are presented with the incident of Nadab and Abihu, taken exactly as the offering is taken. Now, perhaps this is a foreshadowing of events to come. Perhaps it is a reminder that the standards for leaders is tougher than for others. According to the Torah, leaders do not get away with more because of their positions. On the contrary, priests, prophets, kings, rabbis, even presidents are supposed to suffer harder consequences. And this in turn sets up what will happen to Moses and to Aaron themselves later. Moses quotes God here as saying, I shall be made holy through those who are close to me. Now, for those of us who know what is coming later in this story, this is an eerie preparation for the episode of Moses' own sin. When Moses will strike the rock at Meribah, God will impose a frightful consequence for him and for Aaron. And the reason that God will give to Moses and Aaron will be because you did not trust in me to make me holy before the eyes of the children of Israel. Moses' own words to Aaron here will come to testify against him there. Wow. Now God now speaks to Aaron alone for the first time with particular instructions to distinguish or to divide between the holy and the secular, between the impure and the pure, hatama and hatahor. Now, a few weeks ago, we talked of the theme to watch for in this book, centered on a verb, havdil, to distinguish, to divide. Leviticus is concerned with orderliness, and this orderliness is reminiscent of the creation account in Genesis 1. God creates by making distinctions, le havdil, expressed in divine speech. God distinguished or divided between the light and darkness, the waters above and the waters below, the sea and dry land from each other. And so the function of the priesthood is described in Leviticus as to distinguish, le habdil, between the holy and the secular, and between the impure and the pure. The words themselves draw the parallel between God and the priesthood, as the Israelites are commanded to emulate God by setting up a framework for daily life in which they are to divide between the impure and the pure, unclean and clean, between what is forbidden and what is permitted to be eaten. You see, the laws of permitted and forbidden animals add further restrictions to the sacrificial laws. God requires not only ritual slaughter, priestly performance, and location at the tent of meeting. God delineates to Moses and Aaron which animals may be eaten as well. Now, among land animals, those that have split hooves and chew their cud, in water, those with scales and fins, except all scaled fish have fins. In the air, the forbidden birds are named one by one, and we actually don't know what most of them are. And all flying creatures that have 4 legs are forbidden. Also forbidden are creatures that have numerous legs, those that crawl on their bellies, and any animals that have died on their own or have been killed by other animals. And what have evolved into the kashrut rules? Well, that's a discussion on its own. Suffice it to say, the reasons for these particular inclusions and exclusions have never been worked out persuasively. What is clear here, however, is what is missing. The ban on consuming blood and on eating a kid boiled in its mother's milk, neither of these are mentioned here, and you would think that if anywhere, they should have been here. The Parsha ends in Leviticus 11:46. This is the instruction, and here we see that the word for instruction is Torah, for animal and bird and every living thing that moves in the water, and for every being that swarms on the earth, to distinguish the habdil, between the impure and the pure, hatama ubein hatamor, and between the living thing that is eaten and the living thing that shall not be eaten. If you understand nothing else, understand that this points to the theme, distinction, division. This is a living organic book. It changes and needs fresh interpretation generation to generation. And so what this also points to is what has become our society's own inability to distinguish between holy and secular. Friends, many of us know how to make kiddush, the blessing over wine, which begins almost all holy occasions. But how many know how to make Havdalah, the ceremony ending the Sabbath and beginning the secular week? And yes, it comes from the verb havdil, to distinguish, to divide. That is, we don't know anymore how to distinguish between the holy and the secular. And for help in this, there is the priest. This parsha is about the coming power of the priest, his role in maintaining what is holy and in teaching and elevating the people. And friends, there is one duty of the Kohanim that combines both of these roles, and that is the priestly blessing. Aaron's blessing the people is the first mention of the priestly blessing, done continuously since Sinai, the oldest blessing on earth in a religion. This blessing is part of the temple service, and at the same time, it reflects their interaction with the people. The Kohanim recite the blessing with outstretched arms, a sign that their efforts to uplift the people are an extension and continuation of their holy service in the temple. Yivarechecha Adonai v'yishmerecha. May God bless you, safeguard you. Ya'er Adonai panav elecha v'hunecha. May God illuminate his countenance for you and be gracious to you. Yisa Adonai panav elecha v'yasem lecha shalom. May God turn his countenance to you and establish peace for you. Now, speaking of blessings, my friend Alex in Chicago runs a charity helping the displaced children who are victims of war-torn societies. These two are the lost children we spoke about that we all must think about and try and get back. Them that's got shall get, them that's not shall lose. So the Bible said, and it still is news. Mama may have, Papa may have, but God bless the child that's got his own. That's got his own. Friends, light a candle, make a wish, honor your tabernacle, your dwelling place of God. Celebrate your life and the lives of those you love. Live free, be free. honor your freedom. Be well, be happy, and be blessed. Share and honor the light in all who live in the light, and continue to shine. Continue to send everyone you know goodwill and love. Pray for peace, for freedom for everyone, and end to terror and hatred. And remember, friends, we are a community. We learn together, we celebrate each other, we love each other. Thank you all. Love you. See you all next time. Wishes do come true. Bless you all. Shabbat Shalom. Take care. Bye.